for joining this call. My name is Ian and the trainer for the cloud computing course is on this call and is ready to answer all of your questions. So in the course of the class, if you have any questions, you can just drop them in the chat box and would respond to them. So David, are you with me? Can you start now? Hello, David, can you hear me? David, please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you now. Good evening.
Yep. Good evening to you. Please confirm if you can also see me.
Yes, I can see you. Do you think it's 4 minutes for more people to join? Because the call I started on WhatsApp, we had more people, so I can just send a final reminder. Then you
All right.
start.
Yeah,
I think then is fine,
that's
right?
fine. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So you start the class by 8 then. Thank you everyone for your patience. Please stick around. David, I believe you can.
Recording in progress.
So every other person will join us in the class. So you can go ahead. Can you hear me, David?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Please, can you guys confirm if you can see me?
yes, I can see
Um,
you. Good.
yeah. Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. So it's so nice to have you guys on this call, and I guess we that we are here, we all gathered here for a very, very similar interest, right? Which is cloud computing. Yeah, so we want to, learn about cloud computing. More of the course will be starting fully next year. But I understand that some of us are new to the whole cloud environment. You're new to the whole IT space, and we need more of a session like this, right, where you get familiar with me, you ask me questions, I tend to bring you on board, and we just train like a few lights, right, just to engage you and get you occupied. Um, there's also talks of a webinar, coming up sometime in January too, where um, we would teach of what I say I right would teach just a few things in cloud computing, probably do simple projects, right, do simple projects, get you involved, and just so you understand that yes, you're actually doing something strong and doing something legit. So now just a quick brief intro, right, on cloud computing, just 1 minute. I just want to something small, right? We'll go further in the webinar, and we'll still go like extra when the course starts fully, right? So just give me a minute. Let me see. All right, so let me share my screen. It's just a quick introduction. Can you guys confirm if you can see my screen? Now I'm doing this because of people who who are not familiar yet, right? What cloud computing is, what's even IT in general too, right? So this is like a very, very basic, and I'll just try to summarize this because I'm hoping to keep this within 30 minutes. So just try to summarize this and give an idea of what cloud computing is. Okay, so but first and first, can you confirm if you can see my screen? Nobody's saying anything. We have Uche, we have Yanolua, we have, can I call you Gabi or Gabini? We have Uzo. Are you guys on this call? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Okay. Yep. Thank you very much. All right. So introduction to cloud computing, right? And basically, cloud computing is just delivering computing services over the internet. Now look at this. Let me say a very, very basic example. You look at your computer, right, and you see how you can do things on your computer. Imagine if you can probably deploy your computer on the internet, right? And now when we talk about cloud computing, really does not mean something virtual. It just means that you are using another person's computer, right? That's basically what the whole aspect of cloud is. Look at your iCloud, your Google Drive. Look at even your Facebook pictures. Some of us we tend to upload our pictures on iCloud, upload our pictures on Facebook and all. But now when you see these things, you are like, oh, fine. These things are like somewhere, but now does not mean it is invincible, right? It just means that a company somewhere, which is like Apple now for iCloud or Google for Google Drive, right? They've built this storage, right, in their own side, or let's say on their own side, and they are now telling you that okay, fine, instead of you using your local, using space from your phone or your laptop, right? Why not just upload these things there? Sometimes we upload them there because of we want to clear spaces from our phones or our laptops, and sometimes we put them there as backups, right? You see people will tell you, yes, I have I used to always store my pictures on Facebook, or I store my pictures on iCloud, I store my videos on iCloud. You know that aspect where you upload your phone, and when you get a new phone and you tend to restore, to restore updates, if you understand what I'm saying. Now all these things, right, they're all concept of cloud computing. In fact, cloud is like very, very wide, right? Because you are using somebody else's computer, right? So that whole process, that whole aspect, the whole thing that happens between when you upload that your video, or when you take that video and you upload it to that particular drive, right? That whole process, everything there is cloud computing. Do you understand? So delivering compute service over the internet. And I just, like I said, imagine your laptop. Imagine if you're able to spin up your own computer, your personal computer, and you're able to access it from cloud. Now the good thing is it is now accessible everywhere, right? So it's like on demand in the sense that anytime you need it. So if you get your computer now and you spin it, and you set up like a virtual machine on the internet, you can access it anytime. You can delete it, you can create a new one anytime. So it's flexible, right? Broad network access. It is you can access it with anything that has access to the internet. So you don't necessarily even connect to it using your phone, right? Using your laptop, you can use your phone, you can use your wristwatch, right, to connect to the virtual machine. Resource pooling, elasticity is if probably you say, look at your laptop or your phone. Now, some of us we have like 8 gig, 16 gig RAM phone, right? Let us go back to those days where we have like 2 gig RAM phone, 1 gig RAM phone. I know sometimes I don't know, there are people here who use Techno Techno P3. I think that was like part of the early Androids. We started using Techno P3, P5. Then we start going back to iPhone 4, iPhone 5, that kind of thing. So now those days you want to probably run certain applications, that you see that your phone will start lagging, right? Or your phone will start going very, very slow. Yes, and I imagine if with one click of a button, instead of you going to buy a new phone, even like this, so if you're using an iPhone that let's say you're using an Android now, because Android is one that actually has that RAM size and thing. So let's say you're using an Android that uses 8 gig RAM, right, and 128 gig inbuilt, and you now want to increase it to 500 gig or 1 terabyte. You know, a very large, for Android phones, you need to go and buy another phone, right? Because once you buy that phone with that particular spec, it's very, very difficult to increase it. It is these days that some phones now come with external memory or extendable memory. But I'm talking about, if you have a phone and you need it inbuilt, that kind of thing. So now the fact that you're able to even expand, right? Your laptop, so you have 2 gig RAM, 3 gig RAM, you have 4 gig RAM, and you're able to expand. So all these things are like characteristics of cloud computing, and why it is something that is interesting. Now, okay, I'm hearing myself back. I don't know if Ali wants to say something. Okay, so just to fast track, and also now there are different aspects again in cloud computing and goes on and on. But a good thing is this, right? Now, let me now look at how we apply this to normal business. Yes, now I've just spoken a little bit about cloud computing and all these things, right? All these things are things we'll come back and go in depth into. Now, look at business. Look at when Nigeria, right? I believe most of us here are Nigerians. Now, look at when we were doing transition from cash to virtual, where everybody that whole cashless period, right? Where people just had to start leveraging more on transfers, and the government were like they wanted to ban or reduce cash flow. You've noticed that time, that was when many people had so many bank issues, right? There's always network problem, or sometimes you open your bank app and you're not able to log in. And if you now realize, if you follow the trend that happened at that particular time, you see that those were times that OPay, PalmPay, Kuda Bank, MoneyPoint, that was what actually like boosted those banks. Those banks have been existing for like some time, right? Kuda Bank has been on for like I think 2-3 years before that time. OPay to the same thing, MoneyPoint the same thing. But it was not that period that these guys went up and people started moving from traditional banks, which is Access Bank, GT Bank, Zenith Bank, and started moving towards those banks, right? Because then, in fact, there was like one whole week. I remember very well. There was one whole week that Zenith Bank didn't even work, right? But that time, every single time you send money with OPay, there's a high chance, the chance of you receiving it instantly, or even getting a notification. OPay has a feature of getting incoming kind of giving an incoming notification. Oh yeah, you're expecting this amount of money, right? Now, the difference between those two banks, right, is because the PalmPay, MoneyPoint, OPay, they're all like cloud banks. They're all like cloud-based, right? While we have the Zenith Bank, which still use the traditional way of, processing information. So when so many people were on their platforms, when we had so many Nigerians, trying to make transfers and all like that, the whole network became clogged up, right? The application will now like fail. It's like saying everybody is to pass one road at a particular time. If you're familiar with road movement, so let me use something that you're familiar with. Let's say people who are in Lagos, for example. And if you're familiar with that Ibadan Expressway, you will know that every time the churches on that road have programs, like within camp, when they have programs, that road is always like clogged up, it's always full. If you notice again on Fridays, right, roads in Lagos, I'm familiar with Lagos, please forgive me. I know people out there, they don't usually have much traffic. They don't usually have much traffic. Lagos is where you can spend 6-7 hours, right, on one spot. So now, if you notice when there's traffic, it's usually when there is high, when there is like high number of people trying to pass that road at a particular time, which is when you are going to work in the morning. On a Monday morning, there's traffic. On Friday evenings, there's usually traffic too because everybody's going home, right? And now imagine if there's a way we can expand the road, right? That's so to say that every time when it's 6 o'clock on Fridays, let the road at least increase a bit. Let roads be faster. Or now look at all these things and now look at it in the internet sense. Now that was what happened when banks had issues. Everybody was trying to access the bank app at the same time. Do you understand? So at that point, the whole thing became clogged up and boom, their network will fail or their bank application will fail. And while on Kuda Bank, OPay and MoneyPoint, right, when they had more users, since they are cloud-based, it was very easy for them to expand. So they were able to increase, their servers or their database and whatsoever, just with few clicks of buttons like that, and they're going bam, 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 and boom, they've like they've increased it. Look at Jumia too, for example. Jumia is always busy, but you will not for once go to Jumia on a Black Friday and the website will not load, right? Because Jumia too uses cloud, right? Jumia too is like cloud-based, where once there are more members, it's able to expand. And I'm trying to put in now this whole thing. I'm trying to give you or put it in like very, very simple let's say simple examples, because yes, there are so many technicalities that go into this, right? And now when you now talk of cloud, there are like different areas in cloud. We have the DevOps, we have cloud engineer, we have solution architects, we have SRE engineer, we have infrastructure engineer. These are not different roles, right? So it's like saying um car, for example. It's like saying engineer. Most of us will go to school and say want to become an engineer. When you go to school, you go to engineering, right? If you are going to for schools that have science technical, you go to science class, you go to science technical class. When you are going to study, you say you're going to study engineering. Then later on, during the course of that particular program, you now see that they will now narrow you down to one particular set of engineers. You now have petroleum engineering, civil engineering, architectural engineering, and so on and on and on like that. So that's the same thing we have in cloud. There's so many technical aspects, but when we talk about cloud, it's basically just setting up compute services on the internet, making business, deploy faster, making them accessible, and making the internet, safe and something that everybody can actually use. Now, to keep this short, I think I have used about, easily like according to the okay, yeah. So I've used like let's say 15, 20 minutes. And I don't know if you guys have any question. This is me just giving you again. Forget what is on the screen now. I was already going for, if I remember that, I don't 30 minutes is not actually enough to cover what we have here. But now that is where the webinar comes in, right? Webinar will be like I think 2 hours, where we'll be able to do small things and not even carry out like a mini deployment, right? Probably deploy like an application on the internet and see how it is, see how it works, how you can then access it and so on. So does anybody have questions? Anything anybody wants to say? First thing is, sorry, I think I should have even introduced myself before now. Forgive me. My name is David Yaya. I am a cloud, DevOps engineer. I have been in this for years of IT experience, so I've played different roles in tech, right? I studied computer engineering, because I studied computer engineering from Yaba Tech, and I have played the role of an IT assistant, IT support, for people who are familiar with that. And then, currently I'm currently playing the role of a cloud engineer and DevOps engineer. So there's like so many things happened, within those years, and so many things, I can actually teach and maybe
Yeah, I
We
can
can
hear
hear you.
okay. I am very sorry. I don't know what happened. I saw that my team restarted. But I want to believe you guys heard like some of the things I said earlier.
I don't know. I have a question. I don't know if I can go ahead and ask.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'm just new into this like cloud computing thing. I just want to ask, does it require you to know like maybe a coding language or something like that?
So cloud computing really does not. It although coding plays like adds to your knowledge and makes it easy for you, right? Because you need to like be familiar. But trust me, that does not matter at the beginning of this course. Do you understand? As you go on, right, while you're learning, you get familiar with the whole, programming ecosystem, the whole coding, and at least you get familiar with some things, right? Like Linux, you'll be good. You at least to a very good extent, you'll be able to, play around Linux. You'll be able to play around Python too. And there will also be like self-learning kind of things, right? Where I can probably send in like links to a particular free material like that, or probably lab, right? Where you can play around. Because again, the problem is this, right? I'm always saying this to people who I have around me. It really does not matter who is teaching or what that person is teaching. It matters if you want to learn and if you're willing to actually put in the work. Do you understand? So that is if you're willing to, it's like going to university. For some of us here who have gone to university, you understand what I'm saying. When we say that, um, now when the lecturer comes to your class, the lecturer practically does not go through everything that's in the material. Lecturer can just come, give you few lines, say few words, and out of 2 hours, it can give you like 30 minutes. That's even if he comes to your class, right? Yeah, that's even if he comes to your class. Then we'll just send material and stuff like that. But yeah, some of us still pass. Right now, look at that same knowledge that you did then, where when it was time for, well, that time we used to wait till when it was time for exam. But now this is like, okay, since it's like a lifelong kind of skill, right? You would want to spend extra time, and because it is 4 months, 4 months, so many things can happen in 4 months. Again, so many things can happen in 4 months, but not everything can happen in 4 months. I don't know if I'm making sense. So you want to actually like spend some extra time doing one or two extra things like that, because the classes will be like would happen 2 times in a week, right? That's the projection I'm having at the moment. Currently, and plans might change and whatnot, but the classes can happen. The classes can happen. The classes would happen 2 times in a week. One weekday and one weekend, right? So which is to engage everybody. So if you have time weekday, you join. You have time weekend, you join. But now there are people who might not even attend all sessions, if that makes sense. So there will also be links and materials provided to engage, and support your learning. So for now, as a criteria, you don't need anything, right? But moving on, you would even pick up the skill and you learn to see how some of these things work.
All right, makes sense. Thank you so much.
Yep, welcome. Okay, so do we have questions?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, is Wadi saying something?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just joining though, but I guess you asked if we had questions.
Yep.
So this is a question I had in mind before coming.
Okay.
So what I really wanted to know was, aside the certification from REMA path, right? Would we also be doing like maybe Azure certifications or AWS certifications? And what's the plan for that? Because I'm sure that that may possibly incur more costs, right? So is there a plan for that? Or are we just, I mean, that's my question.
I think the best person to answer this, right, if we will be most likely, I think Kehinde, but to my own knowledge, we can support, we can support you learning, right? We can actually like support you and walk you through the process, but the payment parts, I am not sure.
All right. I just wanted to know if there was a plan for it. So um, it was possible that we could still discuss more on that. I think it would be good.
Yes, I think you either me, I'm just the tutor, right? I am not part of the board. I'm not part of the board members, or I'm not partly responsible for something like that. But yes, the appropriate people, they will probably reach out. Yeah, probably reach out later.
All right. Thank you.
But yes, will I say word of advice, or probably from somebody who has been in this space for quite some time, and somebody who did more of self-learning, because I did self-learning, right? So the whole years I spent in this whole thing has been me learning myself. Up to this point, I can say that I don't have, or I've not had like a mentor through the process, right? And I'll tell you that pay more attention on the skill than the certificates. Do you understand? I didn't even have my first certificate until like I think 2 years in. Was it 2 years or 3 years? That was when I got my first Azure certificate. But before then, I have gotten jobs, I've gotten gigs, right? And this is even something I'll tell you, right? This is like the secret that I'll put out to you. No company will tell you to show them your certificates. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Now, join interviews, right? No company will tell you, hey, send me code to your certificate, or hey, show me your certificate. All they will ask you would be, have you done this? How did you do this? Do you understand? I'm very sorry. Can you guys hear me? I am not sure why Zoom keeps restarting and it just go off
Yeah,
and to come
yeah,
back
I can
again.
hear
But
you.
Please, can you guys hear me? Are you guys here? Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why my Zoom just keeps restarting. I'm not sure why. Although I installed this just a few minutes before this call. I'm familiar with Teams, right? Or I don't know. Even at that should not be the reason why. I'll probably like look into this later on. But just I was just like I was trying to say earlier. Pay more attention to the skill, right? Pay more attention to what you are doing because so far I've done like so many interviews, right? And I've played roles between getting international roles and local role. And not for once during an interview has anybody told me to show them my certificates. Do you understand? All they do is they will just tell you, okay, have you worked on this? Have you worked on that? What did you do when you had this problem? Or when you see this kind of error, right? What do you do? I know as you move forward, you get familiar with those errors in terms of when you load your website and you're saying error 400, error 500, error 403. Those codes have meanings. Do you understand? Or so they ask you a question and tell you when you go to google.com and you enter like when you go to your browser and you put in google.com, what happens between that time and when your page loads? Some of us we don't know those things, but so many things happen behind. They ask more practical and technical questions and not you don't ask about certificates. So most times I always push to people to leverage more on the skill, right? Learn learn the skill, know what you're doing, and then certificates will come as add-on or will come extra. Like I said, my own first certificate, I got it like I think 2 years, 3 years, because then I just went through voucher. All the certificate I even had too. I didn't pay. I've not paid for any of my certificate. They've all been probably I'm in the community and I got vouchers. And although again, this is just me giving my own experience, right? So certificate should be secondary, while the skill itself, right? You making sense of the whole 4 months should be the primary thing. Then yeah, just like those in put in the chats. The webinar is in January, sometime in January, and that place we would make simple